Hey, whoever got that match made with Michael Schofield, you knew exactly what you were doing. Board Boxing, welcome back to the show. We had Ryan Garcia versus Oscar Duarte. That was a good fight. It was a good fight. Lots of lead up, lots of passionate lead up, more so on the Ryan side, on the Garcia side, talking about the differences in camp, his training leading up to it, his mental state, all of these things. Yeah, I was, as much as I am a fan of Ryan Garcia, I do want to see the kid succeed. I do have some struggles with believing him a lot of the time because he did gain so much popularity in the social media sphere and everything else. It's hard to believe that he actually is as committed as he claims to be. It's a lot of lip service. It almost feels like acting or theatrics. And last night he came to show that he knew how to still do what he was meant to do, right? Boxed well. In my opinion, I think he looks like a completely different fighter. And maybe that's just because his composure is so much more confident. I watched back the fight this morning. I just see a fighter that is so much more sure of themselves. And I think it's because he's going through a game plan that is actually well formulated. It's not up to him. It's not like what happened with Joe Goosen, where Joe was telling him to kind of do his own thing and he would provide input. This is clearly Derek James saying, you are going to fight like this, and we're going to play to these strengths, and I'm going to help you get better at these things. And the fundamentals are definitely a lot better. Defensively, he's a lot more responsible, albeit his shoulder rolling is teetering on semi-cheap tactic. Can't turn your back, but so much to where it always gives a back of the head shot. The first couple times, I was like, all right, this is back of the head. And then I started to realize that Ryan really was just shoulder rolling way too far into it. But the proof is in the pudding and in the numbers, as they say, right? So Ryan Garcia was an accurate puncher today, or last night. He was very accurate when it came to countering. The only thing I wish I would have seen more, is while he does have this better footwork and he knows how to get away and not just stand and trade with somebody who's willing to overpower him, is that he needs to learn how to throw that check hook and keep people at distance. He had the jab in the first 3 rounds, maybe first 2 rounds, really. I'm being generous. The jab was working. He was throwing it out there. It was at least keeping Duarte at pace, because Duarte is a pressure fighter. And even though he's 26-1, he's not at this level of pressure fighter like a Matias is, or another pressure fighter in some other heavier classes. In the lead up, you had DAZN pundits saying that he fought a lot like Canelo. I'm like, okay, like maybe if Canelo was drunk at 4 a.m., then yeah, he might fight like this. Duarte wasn't a slouch. He was able to take some shots. And again, he wasn't nearly as accurate as he needed to be, and partially it was because Ryan kept giving him his back. And Ryan also wasn't willing to really sit in front of him in exchange or go 50-50 for prolonged amounts of time. We didn't see him get on his bike the entire fight, but we definitely did see him, get away when he needed to get away, especially in the later rounds. He almost completely abandoned his jab past round 4, and then he started bringing it back in round 7, I guess, and he realized he was getting a little tired. But overall, I think Ryan completely controlled the pace of the fight. I don't think there was any time really that Duarte really had control of the fight. There were a couple shots that Duarte landed that were notable, but overall, I think Ryan just did a much more phenomenal job of overwhelming his opponent, seriously, with like, you can't catch me. I'm going to hit you hard in a countering stance, and also I'm going to defend a little bit better. There are people that think he looks like the same fighter that fought Luke Campbell. I disagree with that entirely. I think that the fighter that fought Luke Campbell was someone who got lucky with that left hook or the body shot. I think this Ryan looks a lot more aware of his weaknesses, albeit he's not all the way there yet. There's not only so much you can do in about a 7-month time frame. I mean, he just fought Tank, half a year ago? So coming off a huge loss, going to a new trainer, getting a lot of things brushed up on, it's difficult to expect him to just have everything fixed and to him to be a top-level talent. Do I think Ryan Garcia is some elite fighter? No, I don't. I think he's got a lot of work to do, especially in the 140. I mean, this is a catch weight at 143, so he hasn't even shown that he can make 140 reliably. It might even be a situation where he decides he just wants to keep moving up. Built on what I saw in this frame, I think that's probably a good way to go. I think he'd have a better time if he had a little bit more durability in the form of weight on him. Overall, good fight. Knockout was a good knockout. We saw Duarte go on skates. Yeah, he ended up taking 2 more shots before he finally went down. I do think the count was a teeny bit fast. I think anyone else in that situation would have been given a little bit more grace. It did look like Duarte was waiting out the clock before he got up. But, I mean, the ref was staring him in the face, counted out. I mean, we got to trust the referee's judgment on that. Ryan Garcia getting the knockout in round 8, good for him. Like to see him come back and get another fight in 2024. I'd like to see him go up to 147, truth be told, because I don't, with how he's growing, I just don't think he's going to hit that 140 range anymore. But overall, amazing night of fighting. Michael Schofield, I want to see you fight again. I want to see you fight someone actually good because you looked really impressive. But that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'm done.